we change that problem, or fix that problem rather. So I am going to, without further ado, turn the program over to John, and I will mute myself. And if anyone has any questions or comments, just put them in the chat. Thank you so much. Take it away, John.
Thank you, Mary Lynn. And everyone, welcome. Just to let you know, that program on Stephen Schwartz, it will be up in the circulation room. It'll be a big event. We're going to have me talking about the life and career of this Broadway legend, the man who wrote the scores for Godspell, Pippin, and Wicked, which is now in its 20th year. But that event will not be a Zoom. We don't really have the capacity to Zoom because of all the technology and the live performance involved. So it's be there if you can. And I hope many of you can join us. Now, tonight, I can't resist this. Mateys, welcome to a talk about pirates. But yes, of course, and I had to have some fun with my tooth, but it's a talk about one of the most beloved musicals. I'm doing a whole series of 3 musicals for the library this spring. And this is where we're starting. Not 10 years ago, not 20 years ago, but 145 wonderful years ago, when Gilbert and Sullivan brought the world a musical that changed the world. And people always look at me cross-eyed when I say that, but believe me, that's not just hyperbole. It genuinely changed the way things are done in our world. The Pirates of Penzance. If you're going to talk about this show, you might as well begin with the opening number. When Pirates of Penzance was written in the 1880s, it was long past the golden age of piracy. That was somewhere between the years 1650 and the early 1700s. You may think of the imagery in Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, but there's a lot more to pirates than Pirates of the Caribbean and Pirates of Penzance. There were more than 5,000 active pirates during that golden age of piracy. Their average age was only 28. They didn't live long. Hence the famous motto, a short life, but a merry one. Well, certainly one that ended swiftly. Now, there were several very famous pirates. Captain Kidd, William Kidd, his true name, He was executed at the age of 47. And then there was Edward Teach, who is remembered as Blackbeard. He used to terrorize his victims by setting fire to the tips of his beard and letting them smoke during the attacks on ships. He died in action at the age of 40, again, a short life. So when Gilbert and Sullivan have their leader of their pirate troupe, the Pirate King, explain his philosophy, there's a sense of fun that one can only hope the real pirates had.
I don't think much of our profession, but contrasted with respectability, it is comparatively honest. No, Frederick, I shall live and die a pirate king.
And allow me to explain, I have been remiss, the clips that we have been watching, and we'll be watching more of them, are from the wonderful Shakespeare Theater Festival production of Pirates that played Central Park in the early 1980s and moved to Broadway. You are watching the amazing Kevin Kline in one of the greatest roles of his dazzling stage career as the Pirate King.
I don't think much of our profession, but contrasted with respectability, it is comparatively honest. No, Frederick, I shall live and die a pirate king. Oh, better far to live and die under the brave black flag I fly than play a sanctimonious part with a pirate head and a pirate heart. Away to the cheating world go you, where pirates all are well to do. But I'll be true to the song I sing and live and die a pirate king. For I am a pirate king, and it is a glorious thing to be a pirate king. I am a pirate king, and it is a glorious thing to be a pirate king. It is a pirate king, hurrah for the pirate king. When I sally forth to seek my prey, I help myself in a royal way. I sink a few more ships, it's true, than a well-bred monarch ought to do. But many a king on a first-class throne, if he wants to call his crown his own, must manage somehow to get through more dirty work than ever I do. For I am a pirate king. It is a glorious thing to be a pirate king. I am a pirate king. I'm a pirate king. And it is a glorious thing to be a pirate king. It is a pirate king, but also a wild man.
That performance was recorded at one of the last evenings in Central Park at the Delacorte Theater for this production that summer. And I was in that audience with my still best friend. I can point out where we sat. It's kind of tough here on the internet, but oh, what fun this production was. Okay. There's a book that I'd recommend to people. It's Edward Kritzler's Jewish Pirates of the Caribbean. You will learn things about real pirates that you never knew. Here, from a Jewish cemetery in Hamburg, you have a Hebraic pirate's grave. It's amazing what the place pirates had in popular culture at one time. Now, by the 1800s, Britannia ruled the waves, and the British Navy pretty much got piracy under control because folks, I'm going to ask you, please make sure you are muted because we're getting feedback, and that's because someone's not muted. Please mute yourselves. Thank you so much. So everything you see on this map in brown was the British Empire. That little island to the north of France ruled a huge empire upon which it could truly be said the sun never set. And in order to keep all those corners of the empire unified, you needed pirate-free seas. And Britannia did truly rule the waves. They ruled a lot of the land, too, as you can see. Their navy was a massive factor, and it would be throughout the existence of the British Empire. And why did you need a British Empire? That was because of British banking, darn it, which made Britain so incredibly wealthy. And it reached a pinnacle in the reign of Queen Victoria. And one of her choir boys in the royal choir was this gentleman, Sir Arthur Sullivan. Born in Lambeth, in the poor East End of London in May of 1842, his father was a military musician. He became a royal chorister to the Queen, then became the most promising English musician of his day with training on the continent. William Schwenk Gilbert came from a military doctor's family, thank you very much. He was somewhat older, born in 1836 in London. He became a barrister, not a successful one, and so he moved from the law to writing comic stories, writing plays, and he became, in essence, the Neil Simon of his day, the top comic playwright in British theater. Used to publish poems and comic tidbits in this magazine, Punch, a comic magazine of the late 1800s. Eventually, the man in the middle of this photo, that's Mr. D'Oyly Carte, he was a producer, and he saw possibilities in getting Gilbert, the gentleman on the right, and Sullivan, Gilbert is the man on the left, and Sullivan, the gentleman on the right, getting them together to write musicals. In 1874, the first show these three people worked on together was a little one-act called Trial by Jury. It was used as a curtain raiser for an Offenbach operetta, but it soon proved much more popular than the Offenbach. And so it was time to get Gilbert and Sullivan writing full-length works. Their first was The Sorcerer in 1877, and it was a tremendous success with audiences and critics. The quality of music, the quality of the lyrics, the story of a young couple who are so in love, they want everyone in the world to be in love, so they get a magician to put a spell on everyone in their town and make all of them fall in love, which of course leads to chaos. This show is going to be revived, by the way, in April by the New York Gilbert and Sullivan Players. I haven't seen it done on stage in quite a while. I'm looking forward to it. But their big hit that really set things going was the 1878 piece HMS Pinafore, set on a British sailing ship that was as realistic as it could be. This, which spoofed the idea that love levels all class ranks, was wildly successful on both sides of the Atlantic. It remains a great audience favorite to this day, but it was the Hamilton of the 1870s. Once it opened in London, Americans, because there was no international copyright law in effect, started doing pirated productions. They stole the music, they stole the lyrics, and they did things that weren't necessarily what what Gilbert and Sullivan would have wanted, but they made a fortune using Gilbert and Sullivan's word and lyrics. This was the attack of the theatrical pirates. From one end of the United States to the other, there were unauthorized productions earning fortunes and really making a mockery of the original material. In New York City alone, you had up to 5 pinafores playing in New York at one time. This was a scandal, and Gilbert and Sullivan had enough of it. They figured out with some very good lawyers that if they opened their next show simultaneously with performances on both sides of the Atlantic, that their copyright would then have to be protected both in England and in the United States. So for their next show, they announced that they would take their main company to New York and open at the Fifth Avenue Theater. This was down near Madison Square in Manhattan. And the show was going to be appropriately entitled Pirates of Penzance. The same night that it opened, at the end of December, in the Fifth Avenue Theater, they had a company touring England doing HMS Pinafore. And so for that one night only, in the town that they were in, which was Paynton at the Royal Bijou Theater, they were going to do a slapped together performance of Pirates of Penzance. So now the copyright would be secured. This was the beginning of international copyright protection. And if you don't think that matters, you have never written or created anything. If you write or create something, copyright is what makes sure you get paid for it and someone else doesn't rip off your idea. No one can steal my books. No one can even steal one of my talks, thanks to the power of copyright. Now, Pirates has a great story. It involves a young man who has been apprenticed to a pirate band, and he has reached his 21st birthday, so he's free of his indentures to them. And he now joins up with the forces of good, and he happens to have fallen in love with the daughter of a British major general, so he's got just the right connections to wipe out his old friends. In the wonderful Broadway revival of the 1980s, Linda Ronstadt starred as Mabel, the major general's daughter. I love Linda Ronstadt. She was delightful, but I also love Sir Arthur Sullivan. That's why we're going to hear from the Australian National Opera's 2006 production, a lovely Australian soprano named Tamron Fiebig, performing as originally written, Mabel's magnificent aria, Poor Wandering One.
This is me. Sisters, deaf to pity's name, for shame. It's true that he has gone astray, but pray, is that a reason good and true? Why you should all be deaf to but his name?
The question is, had he not been a thing of beauty, would she be swayed by quite his keenest sense of duty?
For shame, for shame. For shame, poor wandering one, though thou hast surely strayed, take heart of grace, your sense retrace, poor wandering one. Poor wandering one, if such for love as mine can help thee find promise of might, why take it? It is thine. Take Take my wandering one.
Very soon after her appearance, we meet the Major General, and now we're back in Central Park with that wonderful British actor, and oh, how I miss this magical man of the stage, Tony winner George Rose, explaining just who and what he is.
Life information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the kings of England, and I quote the facts historical, from Marathon to Waterloo in order categorical. I'm very well acquainted too with matters mathematical. I understand equations both the simple and quadratical. About binomial theorem, I'm teeming with a lot of news. Ooh, lot of news, lot of news. Got it. With many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. Very good at integral and differential calculus. I know the scientific names of beings and calculus. In short, it matters vegetable, animal, and mineral. I am the very model of a modern Major General. I know arithmetic, history, King Arthur's answer paradox. I answer hard acrostics, I have a pretty taste for paradox. I quote in elegiacs all the crimes of Heliogabalus. In conics, I can flow peculiarities, paradox. I can tell undoubted Raphael some terror thousands of these. I know the croaking calls from the frogs of Aristophanes. Then I can hum a fugue which I've heard the music dinner for. Ooh, dinner for. Got it. And whistle all the airs from that infernal nonsense pinafore. Then I can write a washing bill in Babylonic uniform and tell you every detail of Caractacus' uniform. In short, it matters vegetable, animal, and mineral. I am the very model of a modern Major General. In fact, when I know what is meant by mamelon and ravelin, when I can tell at sight a Mauser rifle from a javelin, when such affairs as sorties and surprises I'm more wary at, and when I know precisely what is meant by commissariat, when I have learned what progress has been made in modern gallery, when I know more of tactics than a novice in a nunnery, in short, when I've a smattering of elemental strategy. Ooh, that's a hard one, a strategy. Got it. You'll say a better Major Generalis never. Strategy. For my military knowledge, though I'm packy and adventure-y, has only been brought down to the beginning of the century, but still in matters vegetable, animal, and mineral, I am the very model of a modern Major General. In fact, when I know what is meant by mammal or reveling, when I can tell the sight of Mauser rifle from a javelin, when such affairs are sorties and surprises I'm more wary at, and when I know precisely what is meant by commissariat, when I have learned what progress has been made in modern gunnery, when I know more of tactics than a novice in a nunnery, in short, when I have a smattering of elemental strategy, you'll say that a Major General has never read more. For my military knowledge, though I'm happy in the century, has only been brought down to the beginning of the century. Silly matters vegetable,
Oh, why do I have the feeling nothing this year is going to bring me that kind of joy in a Broadway show? Wow. This includes this score, one of the most beautiful little pieces of Arthur Sullivan's many marvelous compositions. At one point, out of nowhere, the pirates suddenly break into this magnificent little paean, Hail Poetry. This is from the National Gilbert and Sullivan Opera Company's production, which you can find on YouTube. It is sung beautifully.
Although our dark career sometimes involves the crime of stealing, we rather think that we're not altogether void of feeling. Although we live by strife, we're always sorry to begin it. For what we ask is life without a touch of poetry in it.
Now, The Pirates of Penzance has a subtitle, The Slave of Duty. Gilbert had no respect for social conventions. He loved to spoof them. So this subplot of this show is how stupid it is when people say, I did what I had to do. It was my duty. People have hidden behind that for years. There were Nazis at, the Nuremberg trials who said, I was only following orders and doing my duty. Yep, that's it. That's exactly what we're talking about. That duty becomes an excuse. It also just becomes rather ridiculous over time. So, in this show, Frederick is out, having now been released of his indentures, to destroy the pirates who were his friends and family. But now, they come to him and explain to him, well, we were looking over your contract with us, and there's a misunderstanding. You see, it all centers around your birthday. You were born on the 29th of February. This is something which, like presidential elections in the United States, we are only plagued by once every 4 years. When you take a beastly month like February and give it an extra day in order to balance out all the calendars of history. And this leads to a legal complication for young Frederick. Here are Patricia Rutledge, Rex Smith, and Kevin Kline.
For some ridiculous reason, to which, however, I've no desire to be disloyal, some person in authority, I don't know who, very likely the astronomer royal, has decided that, although for such a beastly month as February, 28 days as a rule are plenty. 1 year in every 4, his days shall be reckoned as 9 and 20. Through some singular coincidence, I shouldn't be surprised if it were owing to the agency of an ill-natured fairy. You are the victim of this clumsy arrangement, having been born in leap year on the 29th of February. And so, by a simple arithmetical process, you'll easily discover that though you've lived 21 years, yet if we go by birthdays, you're only 5 and a little bit over.
Dear me, let's see. Yes, yes, with yours my figures do agree. I see. How quaint the ways of paradox, it comments and she gaily mocks. Though counting in the usual way is 21, I've been alive. Yet reckoning by my natal day. Yet reckoning by my natal day. I am a little boy of 5.
He's a little boy of 5.
A paradox, a paradox, a most ingenious paradox. Absurdly whimsical. 5 1/4, eh? You wouldn't think it to look at me.
You'll be glad now, I'll be bound, that you spared us. You would never have forgiven yourself when you discovered that you'd killed 2 of your comrades.
My comrades?
I'm afraid you don't appreciate the delicacy of your position. You were apprenticed to us.
Yes, until I reached my 21st year.
No. Until you reached your 21st birthday. And going by birthdays, you are as yet only 5 1/4.
Well, you don't mean to say you're going to hold me to this?
No. We merely remind you of the fact and leave the rest to your sense of duty.
The sense of duty. Well, don't put it on that footing. As I was merciful to you just now, be merciful to me. I implore you not to insist upon the letter of your bond, just as the cup of happiness is at my lips.
We insist on nothing. We are content in pointing out to you your duty.
Your duty!
Keep in mind, at that time, Britain was the most powerful military nation in the world. So duty was a huge word, just as it is in our nation at a time when it is the great military power of the Western world. Well, because of his sense of duty, Frederick goes back to the pirates and plans the fate of Major General Stanley for having plotted against them. And the ones protecting the Major General are a group of cops who would eventually really be an inspiration for the Keystone Cops of Mack Sennett in Hollywood. Here, from a West Haven, Connecticut production, the lament of the policemen in Pirates.
When the enterprising burglar's not a burgling, when the cutthroat isn't occupied in crime, he loves to hear the little brook a-gurgling, and listen to the merry village chime, when the coster's finished jumping on his mother, he loves to lie a-basking in the sun, take one consideration with another. A policeman's lot is not a happy one. When constabulary duties to be done, a policeman's lot is not a happy one.
Well, the pirates are out to get Major General Stanley. You see, he told them he was an orphan like all of them are, and he lied. And for lying, he must die. And so, with cat-like tread, they creep upon his home at night. But oy vey, what loud cats they are.
steal. In silence dread, a cautious way we feel. No sound at all, we never speak a word. A fly's foot forward, distinctly heard. So stealthily the pirate creeps, while all the household soundly sleeps. Your life preserver, you may want to hit your silent matches, your dark lantern thief. Take your tile and your spell of charming steel. We can like tread in silent tread. Upon a prey we steal, a silent dread, a cautious way we feel. No sound at all, we never speak a word. A fly's foot forward, we distinctly heard. Strong friend, who foul the seas, trust the navigation, take another station. Let's ferry piracy, with the little island, we can like tread, forward away.
Oh, the dance of you. What's that?
I should rate it and sing along. One of the great showstoppers of all time. Well, eventually the policemen go to war to battle with the pirates, and the pirates defeat them. Uh-oh, you can't have pirates defeating cops. Don't worry, Gilbert has a plot twist in mind.
To gain a brief advantage you've contrived, but your proud triumph will not be long-lived.
Don't say you're orphans, for we know that game.
On your allegiance we've a stronger claim. We charge you yield. We charge you yield in Queen Victoria's name. You do. We charge you with humbled mien, because with all our faults we love our queen. Yes, yes, with all their faults they love their queen.
and place them at the bar.
One moment. Let me tell you who they are. They are no members of the common throng. They are all noblemen who have gone wrong. They are all noblemen who have gone wrong.
No Englishman unmoved that statement hears, because with all our faults, we love our house of peers.
Only William Gilbert, with his genius for topsy-turvy, could have come up with that double twist. Pirates became a massive success, both in England and the United States, and it has remained so to the present day. So how did this show change the world? Two ways. First of all, by 1891, because of all the fuss this show caused, the United States finally gave in and accepted international copyright law. Yes, we used to be what Russia was like throughout its years as the Soviet Union, defying copyright. And this oh no, don't rush me. Mr. D'Oyly Carte, Richard D'Oyly Carte, he built a magnificent theater for the Gilbert and Sullivan shows, the Savoy Theater. Now, that theater was not near any good restaurants, and his patrons complained. It's not easy to find a good restaurant, eat, and then get to the theater in time, or after a performance, get to a hotel in time to eat dinner, because then all the good restaurants were in hotels. No problem. He built a hotel. Well, first of all, electric lights came to, that was the first theater ever to have electric lighting. And then he built on and around the theater the Savoy Hotel. It's the Savoy Theater and the Savoy Hotel, because the site of it used to be where the Savoy Palace had stood for many years, and a royal residence. That was the first hotel in the world to have a bathroom in every room. When the engineer was told by D'Oyly Carte, he said, "These plans must be wrong, Mr. D'Oyly Carte. They say here that we've got to have a bathroom in every room." He's like, no, that's exactly what I want. It was a new standard of luxury. And the engineer looked at him and said, "Who are you having to have stay here, sir? Amphibians?" Well, we're all amphibians now. The Savoy restaurant was and remains one of the great culinary jewels, not only of London, but of the world. And the Savoy Hotel remains one of the top-rated hotels on this planet. Yeah, that bathroom looks better than my living room. Give me a break. In 1885, it was there at the Savoy that the most popular musical ever written in the English language up to that time, The Mikado, would have its debut. Gilbert and Sullivan used to take bows at every opening night of their shows. It was part of the tradition. 1889, their last big hit together, The Gondoliers. Wonderful show, but they had an argument that kept them from working together for several years. It involved carpeting in the Savoy, and it's a long story. By the time they did start writing together again in 1893, they were not quite at their best, but I will tell you, even their two later works are still fun. But Arthur Sullivan had led a very indulgent life. He never married, but he loved wine. He loved women. And those things wore one out. He died at age 58, primarily of kidney disease, in 1900. Gilbert lived somewhat longer. He finally got a knighthood to match the one that Sullivan had had. And one day, a young girl was swimming in a lake on his private estate outside of London, Grimsdyke, and she had a cramp and was drowning. He jumped in and saved her, but in the process of doing so, suffered a fatal heart attack in 1911 at the age of 75. That house, Grimsdyke, is now a bed and breakfast. The lake is still there for guests to enjoy. And Gilbert and Sullivan's work, thanks be to a benevolent universe, is still with us to enjoy. Children do Gilbert and Sullivan all over, not just England, but the United States. Why? Well, the material is perfectly clean and family friendly, and it's all rights free. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars for permission to do the material. You just buy a score and do it. Productions of it have been done at every level, from elementary to college to community theater. And here is a recent Yiddish production that I saw some years ago in Canada. Yep, Yiddish theater companies love Gilbert and Sullivan. Gilbert and Sullivan translate beautifully into Yiddish. And here's the number, a paradox, a most ingenious paradox. Those of you who speak Yiddish may guess the word that goes in the place of paradox.
Ze sehr feine Michigas, am Michael genaie Spaß. Ich hab gerannt 21 Jahre, der leb schon bis aher. Und jetzt zu lebt dem Überjahr. Und jetzt zu lebt dem Überjahr. Ich bin ein 5-jähriger. Ein Michigas, ein größer Mann, ein Michigas. Ein Michigas. Ein Michigas. Eine Mystik.
One of the best productions of Pirates I have ever seen. And I am beyond delighted to tell you that Pirates will be coming back to Broadway in a few months in a new production that will star Ramin Karimloo as the Pirate King and David Hyde Pierce as the modern Major General. I don't know which dream came true in this one, but it's one of mine, and I hope this production is every bit as good as it promises to be. When they did the Shakespeare Theater Festival production that moved to Broadway for a triumphant 2-year run, they discovered that Gilbert had an original finale to the show that they'd accidentally left behind in London, and he wrote a shorter one that was used for the first 100 years of the show's existence. Here is the full finale of the show as originally intended by Gilbert and Sullivan.
I pray you pardon me, ex-pirate king. Peers will be peers, and youth will have its fling. Resume your ranks and legislative duties, and take my daughters, all of whom are beauties.
At length we are provided with unusual facility to change piratic crime for dignified respectability.
Combined, I needn't say, with the unparalleled felicity of what we have been longing for, unbounded domesticity.
Tomorrow morning early we will quickly be personified. I will be couple, conjugally matrimonified.
And this shall be accomplished by the Doctor of Divinity, who happily resides in the immediate vicinity.
Who happily resides in the immediate vicinity. Who happily resides in the immediate vicinity. Who happily resides in the immediate vicinity.
My military knowledge, so tacky and adventure has only been brought down to the beginning of the century. But still, in getting off my daughters, 8 or 9 or 10 in all, I've shown myself the model of a modern Major General.
Though ye have surely strayed, take heart, good, your steps retrace.
Now I'm going to be back here for the library and hopefully with better weather at the library on Tuesday, March 12th at 7 to talk about that golden age super gem, Guys and Dolls. And then in April, we're going to celebrate Fiddler on the Roof's 60 years. Tuesday, April 9th at 7 p.m. What an amazing legacy of, again, one of my favorite shows. I get to celebrate 3 of them with you this spring. What a pleasure. Let me end the screen share. Hold on. And let me take off the spotlight so I can see everyone. If you have any questions, I'm going to look in chat first, and then I'm going to open up to one and all. Judy Davidson, thank you for saying greetings to the cats. They're all sleeping very peacefully here around me. From Palm Springs, California, hello, JJ. We're glad you were here. The Stephen Schwartz talk will be on Friday, May 31st. Didn't the original have strings in the orchestra? Yes. The Central Park production went for a more electronic sound. That's true. What about Thespis? Well, Thespis is, the lost Gilbert and Sullivan work. Before they worked with D'Oyly Carte, they did a piece together about a group of actors who climb to the town of Mount Olympus and find the gods are bored. And so they switch place with the gods and let the gods have a vacation. The plot's kind of fun. I've seen productions of it. The trouble is, none of the music really survives. The one piece of music that we know survives from Thespis is a number in this show, in Pirates, climbing over Rocky Mountain, running tribulate at Fountain. That is from Thespis. But sadly, while the book survives, the score has been lost. Yes, I know we could use captions on this one, but they don't serve the captions don't serve the film clips well. The captioning systems really need to be perfected. I do apologize for that. You've someone here, Eileen, you've been to Grimm's Dyke. Oh, in 1976. I wish I had gotten there when I had my one visit to London. It did not fit in. Francine Miller's son's class did G&S Pirates more than 40 years ago. And to those who are saying thank you for the program, I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. How was the show received by American critics, both in the original 1880s production and in the later 1980s production? Critics raved about Pirates. They loved it. So have British critics. There's really nothing to not like. Do we know who's playing the other leads in the upcoming Pirates? That has yet to be announced. We all have our hands, our fingers crossed that it will be a great cast. Ellen, you have your hand raised. Unmute and say hello, my friend.
Hi. I don't know why my
Hi.
picture's not up tonight. It usually comes up. This is one of my favorites, and thank you so much for doing it. I might watch it again if it's available. Question about the one playing Ruth. When they did the album, wasn't that Estelle? Was it Winwood, or did they change it?
Yeah, I'll explain what happened. When they did this production in Central Park, they used Tony Award-winning actress Patricia Rutledge.
Yeah, I love
who is
her.
probably best remembered by most of us for her work in British sitcoms like
Right.
Keeping Up Appearances. Richard,
Mhm.
you cannot be gardening without a tie. Well, she's a marvelous musical theater star, but she was not available when the show moved to Broadway that autumn. It opened, over the Christmas holidays. It was the start of the new year. It opened at the Uris Theater, which we now call the Gershwin. And the one who did it in the play, oh Lord, and she played Roseanne's mother on the Roseanne show.
And it wasn't Estelle somebody?
Estelle Parsons.
Thank you,
Oh,
Estelle Parsons. Thank you for kicking in. And others have put it in chat. It was Estelle Parsons. Now, she only did the first few months of the Broadway run. Then she was replaced by Kay Ballard. And then when they did the movie version with most of the Broadway cast, that role was played by Angela Lansbury, who is, of course, out of this world as she always was. Marcia Graydon, if you can't get your picture up, can you get your sound up? By all means, say hi.
I don't know.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think my sound is up.
Good.
Am
I can
right?
hear you. Yes.
Okay. So I want to say that the first time I had anything to do with Gilbert and Sullivan and actually Pirates of Penzance, I was a kid in the Adirondacks with my cousins, and we did a production in the garage, and we did like waves, that we tied on the side in different depths, and I was little Buttercup.
Oh,
Why
I love
have
it.
you not mentioned little Buttercup?
Well, she's an HMS Pinafore.
No.
What?
Buttercup is
Oh my
Pinafore.
God.
The two
That
works
explains
get
it.
confused all the time.
I'm
Hey,
confusing
listen,
it all.
I was in Pinafore in my college years. I was Dick Deadeye, so I know that show well and love it well.
So I totally confuse them, but I know all the songs, like I was singing along, I love it. And I also want to say, I've seen a couple of productions. I saw Kevin Kline, and I don't know where that was, but I feel like could it have been Circle in the Square or someplace with a proscenium that came way out? Because I remember
You
feeling
saw
like
it at probably at what we now call the Gershwin Theater.
Okay.
But it used to be called the Uris, and that was this production. It moved from Central Park to the Gershwin Theater, which is right next to Circle in the Square.
Okay. And then I want to say, and then I took my 4 grandsons to see. Now I'm confused if it was Pirates or if it was HMS, but I took them to see one of those two, and they were totally nonplussed. I was so upset. They were like, and they weren't
never know what
babies
kids
either.
are going to go for. You never know.
They were fidgeting, and they're sort of, at least 2 of them are sort of private school kids. I was shocked that they didn't love it.
I want you all to see a photo. You know that I worked on the Museum of Broadway. Well, I made sure that the Museum of Broadway would have one of the costumes from the Pirates of Penzance. That is the full costume that was designed for Kevin Kline. And I was delighted to get next to that costume. I thought that he was one of the sexiest things I'd ever seen in my life. He was such a sex symbol in that production. He loved it. He had such fun with that image, and he still loves talking about it today. I will also mention, David Cantor brings up the 2 words that are so much alike. I wish we had more time in this talk. One of the great comedy moments in the show that has stayed funny for more than 140 years is when the Major General and the Pirate King misunderstand the word often. When you say often, do you mean a person who has lost his parents, orphan, or do you mean frequently, often? And that joke has been getting laughs for 140 years. When one of the first live performances I attended as the pandemic was lifting was New York's Gilbert and Sullivan Players. If you've never seen them, they are wonderful. They perform every winter at Hunter College in the Danny and Sylvia Kay Auditorium, and they do wonderful full stagings with full orchestra. They did Pirates as their first post-pandemic show. And to say that it was like meeting an old friend would be understating it. That discussion was a showstopper, and the young lady who sang Poor Wandering One brought the house down. It was like, yes, we can have magic again. Yes, and the other word game Ellen is mentioning in the show is pirate and pilot. They sound an awful lot alike, and that's also part of the fun. I won't ruin it for you. I will tell you, if you liked that clip from the Australian National Opera production that I showed during the talk of the young lady singing Poor Wandering One, you can find that entire production beautifully professionally filmed on YouTube for free. Just put in Pirates of Penzance, Australia, and that'll take you to it. It's a gorgeous production. And if you like, if this has put you in the mood for Pirates of Penzance, you can also on YouTube find the Central Park production that we were watching tonight. Marcia Graydon, you had a hand raised?
Again.
Yes.
Okay. Just to tell you, the reason a bunch of us can't get our pictures up is when you go to start video, it says, you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Oh, how weird.
So you should just know that.
Let's see where that is. And it says here that you are allowed to start video. I'm looking at the security So it may
I
have
don't
just
know.
been something. It may have been a blip. Hello, Ellen. It may have been a blip in Zoom. Zoom, I can tell
Okay.
you from my years now of working with it, does get blips in the technology. So apologies on behalf of Zoom.
Okay, I'm nodding in agreement.
Yeah, we know this. All right. So we fully understand. I want to tell everyone, it's been a joy sharing this with you tonight. It's always fun. Judy Davidson, I haven't seen your face in ages. I love you, my dear friend. It's so good to see you. You are a joy. And everyone out there, you are a joy. Thank you for celebrating this show with me. It does my heart good. See you next month when we talk about Guys and Dolls, and I promise you a good time that night. Good night, everyone. Stay well, and if you're someplace where it's snowy, be safe. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mary Lynn.
Thank you.